I don't remember deciding to answer the phone. I just remember holding it to my ear while the screen glowed against the dark and thinking, this is going to change something. There was no ringing anymore. No static. Just the sound of someone breathing on the other end. Not fast, not scared. Measured, like they were counting their breaths. I didn't speak. I'd learned, over time, that the house reacted when I did. The line went dead. I checked the time. 2:17 a.m. It was always 2:17. When I first moved into the house, I thought the quiet would help me reset. That's what I told people, anyway. The truth was simpler. I needed somewhere cheap, somewhere temporary, somewhere that didn't ask questions. The house sat at the end of a narrow street where the lamps flickered even when the power was stable. Most of the neighboring homes were occupied, but I never saw the neighbors. No cars moving, no doors opening, no sounds carrying through the walls. The landlord showed me around quickly. Too quickly. He avoided the hallway, skipped over it like it was just negative space between rooms. When I asked about the attic, he hesitated. There's access, he said, finally. But you won't need it. That should have been my sign. The first night passed without incident. The second too. On the third night, I woke up because the silence felt eated, like a sound had been removed mid-sent. I lay there in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening for anything that would justify the unease crawling up my spine. Pipes, whined, footsteps, anything normal. Nothing came. Then click, it wasn't loud, it wasn't sharp, it was precise. Like a button being pressed by someone who knew exactly how much pressure it required. I sat up. The sound came again. Same volume. Same rhythm. Click. From the hallway. I told myself it was the thermostat, or the smoke detector, or some old wiring waking up at night. Old houses made noises. Everyone knew that. Still, I didn't go back to sleep. The hallway became the problem. It ran from the front door to the back of the house in a straight line, long enough that the far end seemed slightly distorted, like it didn't quite belong to the same space. Doors lined both sides. All of them closed when I moved in. I started leaving them open. I don't know why. It felt important. The clicking continued, but it changed. At first it only happened at night. Then, during the day. Then, whenever I stood still for too long. One afternoon, I stopped walking halfway down the hallway and waited. 5 seconds passed. 10, then, click, directly above me. I looked up. Nothing. But the air felt disturbed, like I'd interrupted something mid-edge. That was the day I bought the camera. It was cheap. Barely functional. The kind people buy and forget about. I mounted it at the far end of the hallway, angled back toward the bedrooms. The red indicator light blinked once when I turned it on, then stayed dark. That night, I sat on my bed watching the live feed on my phone. Nothing happened. No clicking. No sounds. I started to relax. At 2:17 a.m., the feed froze, just for a second. When it came back, the hallway looked the same. But the audio waveform, the one I hadn't noticed before, spiked. I replayed it, turned the volume up, and listened. It was faint, barely there, but unmistakable. Breathing, not from the house, from the camera itself. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom after that. I moved to the living room couch, keeping the hallway in my peripheral vision at all times. I told myself it was temporary, that once I figured out what was wrong, once I found the rational explanation, I'd laugh about it. The attic door revealed itself the next morning. I'd walked past that ceiling a dozen times. Never noticed it. Now I couldn't stop staring. The edges were worn, the paint cracked. Dust clung to the outline like it had been disturbed recently. I pulled the cord. The door opened with a sound too smooth for something that old. The smell hit first. Stale air. Dust. Something metallic. I climbed halfway up before the space narrowed too much. Exposed beams. Old wood. Insulation torn open in places. And wires. So many wires. Some old. Some newer. Some spliced together in ways that didn't make sense. I followed them with my flashlight. They didn't lead anywhere. They just looped. In the far corner of the attic, something reflected the light. A small device. Black plastic. A microphone. Still powered on. I dropped the flashlight. When it hit the floor, the sound echoed longer than it should have. From behind me, click. I didn't look back. I climbed down, slammed the attic shut, and locked it. That night, the lock clicked open at 2:17. The house started responding after that. If I whispered, it whispered back. Not with words, with sounds. Clicks, shifts, adjustments. Once, I cleared my throat. The house cleared its throat a second later. I tried not to breathe too loudly. I tried not to think too loudly. I started recording notes on my phone instead of speaking, but even that felt wrong, like it could hear the vibrations through the floor. The voicemails began a week later. Always from my own number. Always silent. Except once. I played it 3 times before I realized what I was hearing. My footsteps. Recorded from somewhere above me. Walking down the hallway. Stopping. Right behind where I had been standing when the voicemail arrived. I confronted the landlord the next day. He didn't seem surprised. Didn't ask for details. Just listened. When I finished, he nodded slowly and said, "It likes patterns." I asked him what it was. He didn't answer that. He told me the house had been renovated multiple times. Different owners. Different intentions. Someone once installed a monitoring system that went far beyond security. Audio, structural sensors, behavioral logging. It was supposed to protect the occupants, he said. From what? I asked. He hesitated. From being alone, I laughed. He didn't. He told me people didn't leave because they were scared. They left because the house started anticipating them. Lights turning on before switches were touched. Sounds responding before questions were finished. Voicemails arriving before calls were made. It doesn't understand absence, he said. Only presence. That night, I packed. I didn't turn off the camera. I wanted to see what the hallway looked like when I wasn't there. As I stepped outside for the last time, my phone vibrated. A new voicemail? I played it. It was quiet then, my voice, calm to calm, saying, "You forgot something?" I didn't go back inside. I live somewhere else now. A newer building. Thin walls. Loud neighbors. Constant noise. I sleep better that way. But sometimes, when my phone is charging and the room goes quiet, I hear it. A soft click, and when I check my voicemail, there's always something new. Always recorded at 2:17. Always silent, except for the breathing. Measured, careful, waiting. If you're listening to this alone, and your house feels too quiet, don't speak. Let it think you're gone, because once it learns your rhythm, it never forgets.